live from London by Fabrizio Polli, who is an aviation analyst and managing partner of Tyrus Wings. Thanks for joining us on the programme here, Fabrizio. How embarrassing is an incident like this? I mean, a man can pass through a secure zone seemingly undetected.
Yeah, unfortunately, these things do happen, and they don't just happen in Germany. I mean, I've seen it happen a number of times. They don't always get reported to the news. But what actually these terrorist groups do is they send their people out months before they're going to strike, and they go and they test different airports, and then they report back. And they see where they can get through and where they can't get through. And that's exactly what was happening there in the UK and also in the Middle East. They were caught and the whole thing was stopped because the security people were on the ball. So, you know, these things are happening all the time. And this is where, for example, I see more and more people now, in particular executives and wealthy families, are going to be turning to flying private jet instead of going through busy terminals where everybody else is going through. They're going to go through the business jet terminal on a private aircraft and move in and out. And there we're seeing the likes of companies like NetJets and that on the rise after September the 11th. And we're going to see more and more people turning to flying private than flying airlines because it is a lot safer.
Blair made 61 overseas trips totaling almost 224,000 miles, the equivalent of flying to the moon.
Tony Blair obviously is doing a business internationally and across continents. So he will be needing an aircraft that can travel from, for example, London all the way down to Central Africa and then over to Dubai and over to Indonesia and back. And you're away maybe for a week, 10 days. An aircraft like that, you're usually talking about $8,000 to $9,000 an hour. You're probably clocking up maybe 25, 30 hours flying.
Fabrizio Polli is used to dealing with the jet set and business leaders. He understands the trappings of wealth and power and the lifestyle money can buy.
Well, private jet for certain types of people is a very, very convenient way of travelling today because you can basically leave when you want, so you're not depending on the schedule of the airlines and having to also get to the airport 3 hours before. The other beauty of the private jet is you can get to the airport 15 minutes before. You can also leave from many, fly out of it and into a lot of secondary airports. When you book a flight on a private jet, catering is an important element of the flight. So what will happen is you'll be asked, what would you like? And our cabin attendant would make sure everything's served up nicely. And you'd obviously get the food from the best restaurants or the best catering companies, and you'd have really first-class food on board. And some airplanes even have their own chefs.
And if you're part of this world, privacy is key.
If you are a world top business person or celebrity, flying private allows you to turn up at an airport like this, get out the car, onto the plane, nobody sees you, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows where you're going, and it's very quiet and private. When Mr. Blair travels, for example, I should imagine he's got all the entourage with him, so they can have a meeting on the plane while they're travelling, and nobody that shouldn't be listening isn't listening.
Okay, so Grant, first question. What time frame was there between the first time you chartered a jet and you actually bought your own jet?
You know, that's interesting because I never chartered a jet before I bought mine.
That's good.
Now, I asked a lot of questions to a lot of people. Look, I literally just Fabrizio, I couldn't make sense of the cost of the hours.
Okay.
See, I'm a very, very practical person. I was brought up lower middle class. I've always been brought up to respect money. And so when I started looking at a jet when I was 50. I'm 58 today, probably when I was 55 years old. It took me a very short period of time to pull the trigger.
Okay.
And when somewhere's between 51 and 55, I quit traveling.
Okay.
And I had been traveling 200 and 250 days a year, speaking all around the United States, mostly in the United States, Canada, and North Mexico.
Yeah.
And the travel had become so brutal on me that I started doing less and less travel. And I started doing more online with streaming. I started reaching my customers via Skype, Periscope streams, anything video streaming that I could do live, I was doing more and more of because, frankly, I would rather be directly in front of my customers, but it was so painful to get on American or Delta. It didn't matter what airlines.
Yeah.
I've used them all. I've flown over 3 million commercial miles. I've been in bird strikes, bomb scares, delayed flights, canceled flights, equipment breakdowns. I've seen people kicked off planes. I got in a fight on a plane once before 9/11. So it just became a point where I'm like, dude, I can't fly anymore. I'm done. Like every time I would go out, Fabrizio, I'd be like, what the hell am I doing standing
and now
in
with
line?
terrorism, with all these airports blowing up and
Hey,
planes blowing up in the air.
this was before all that really started happening, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to start investigating my own plane. Now I went through the math. The first thing I did, everybody told me, a couple of buddies of mine, both that are extremely wealthy and successful.
Yeah.
Everybody's telling me a plane doesn't make sense. Everybody told me a plane didn't make sense and didn't have a plane.
Okay. Yeah.
The guy, Warren Buffett said it doesn't make any sense, so he bought the whole freaking,
He's got 750 jets now. So.
He bought them all, and he'll tell you, it's the thing in his life that he would not get rid of.
Yeah.
So I talked to a car dealer friend of mine that's he went from poverty, came into this country. He's worth $3 billion today. He says that guy can squeeze a quarter. Literally, the eagle screams and flies off the quarter. He's so tight. He owns 3 jets. So I'm looking around. I'm doing them. I'm like, all the rich people have them, man.
Yeah.
Why do the rich people have them and the people that don't have them? I mean, the wealthy have them. The rich don't have them. The wealthy have them.
I did a story a few weeks ago right on this. I took 2 companies that are in the same business, Tesco's supermarket chain in the UK, and they've got supermarkets all over the world, and Walmart. And interestingly enough, Walmart operate the largest private jet fleet in the world. And they continued buying jets, even in the recession, 2008, 2009, they continued buying jets and using them. And they still can offer discounted groceries at the store, while Tesco's just sold their fleet of jets last year.
Yeah.
It's a big scandal here in the UK. But you look at the 2 companies, Walmart are making money and they keep buying jets.
Yeah.
Tesco's have sold their jets and they're losing money. That tells you a story there.
Yeah, there's a story. So if you look at wealthy people, you show me a really wealthy person, I'm going to show you somebody that either owns a jet or charters a jet. Yeah. And a lot of them own the jet. Now, back to why I never chartered. Because I could not. And I did all the math, okay? Okay, I'm going to go buy 100 hours. 100 hours is going to cost me $900,000. Isn't that about right, U.S.?
Yeah. If it's a big airplane,
So I'm playing it out. Remember, my first purchase of a jet, I never chartered. My first purchase was a mid-size, a Gulfstream 200. It's a super mid-size, right?
Airplane. Good choice. Very good choice.
I could not, in my mind, because I'm so practical, make sense of $900,000. My thinking was this: I'm going to write a check for $900,000. I'm going to go through the 100 hours in 6 months, or worse, I'm not going to use the 100 hours because I don't want to write another check. You follow me?
Yeah.
I want to save those hours. But so I'm like, okay, am I going to write a second check for $900,000? Let's say I go through the 100 hours. Am I going to write another one for $900,000? I'm so cheap that I'm like, I'm not going to write it. I'm just not going to travel. But if I buy the damn thing, if I buy it and I park it out here at Opelika out in Miami, and it's sitting there going down in value every day, what am I going to do? Yeah. I'm going to use it every day. So for me, I went ahead and paid for the jet. I bought a jet because it forced me.
Can you disclose how much you paid for it, or you're not happy to do
This
that?
was about $8 million.
Okay.
This 2008 Gulfstream 200 has 2,800 hours on it when I bought it. It was owned by 4 guys. Yeah. And I don't. It's a, what is it called? 99.
Part 91, you mean?
Yeah, 91. It's 90, part 91. It's not a 135.
The people, you just keep it for yourself.
I never charter it. Okay. Yeah. Now, let me just tell you my thinking. Okay, because most people think, dude, that was stupid doing that. Okay. Look, I would not travel if I had to write a check to do it. Yeah. I would not. Now, I do have to write a check, but the point is that jet sits out there, so I look for every opportunity to go use that jet. It's like having a vacation home. When I get on that plane, my clothes are on that plane. My music's on that plane. Nobody else has been on that plane. Nobody else drank on that plane, okay? I know who's on that. I know that plane like I know my cars, my family, my kids, the personality. I know when something glitches on it, I know, oh, dude, it's just a computer. Don't worry, reboot, let's roll. Yeah. I wouldn't know that in a fleet. Yeah. And that gives me comfort.
Yeah, plus the pilots. You know your pilots. You know them personally.
Dude, I know them like family. Okay.
Let's talk about terrorism.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about geopolitical situation and how you, from being a private jet owner yourself, I mean, how do you think this is influencing people as far as ditching the whole thing of flying the airlines and let me go and buy a jet?
Well, number one, even before the crazy things that are happening, dude, let's face it, man. Being on a plane with 200 other people, I mean, there's a good chance you got some terrorists on that plane. I'm talking about wackos and crazies, suicidals. Look, there's so many prescription meds. There's so many people on prescription meds in this country today that why would anybody want to get on a plane with 200 people?
Yeah, well, I remember when I did my first anti-terrorism course, as you do with the airlines, they told me there's 3 types of terrorists: the mad, the bad, and the sad.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got those people that are mad because they're taking prescription medication.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're difficult to spot. They're just a one-off, and he'll do something stupid on the airplane, like a bomb in his shoes and blow himself
Well, not
up.
even that, dude. Just people going crazy. People man, I don't want a guy that smells bad next to me. That's a form of terrorism, okay?
So,
I mean,
I've had about, in total in my career, about 15 people arrested on my flights.
Yeah. I'm not big on, look, I got in a fight on a plane because the guy wouldn't get out of my seat.
Okay, there you go.
So, I let him, I said, dude, take the seat. That's fine. I went back to 22. I sat in 22. It was an empty flight in the back. I sat in the back. When the plane landed in San Diego, this is pre 9/11, I walked back up there to seat 3C. Okay. When he stood up, I cracked him on the top of the head with one of my books. I said, you need to read this. If you're not first, you're last. If I did that today, I'd be arrested.
Yes.
Right? He was, by the way, arrested in San Diego and taken to jail because everybody in first class said Mr. Cardone didn't cause a problem. He did. Why he walked away with his little lump on his head. But I would just say, in addition to the crazies on planes, now the terrorism, man. Look, me and my family have never felt better about the decision we made to fly private because we know who's on that plane, who got on that plane, what's on that plane. I'm protected on that plane. I have all the equipment, if you know what I mean, on my plane. You know what I mean? All the things you can't bring on a plane, I have on my plane, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about how you use your plane to make money, because this is the big thing.
Dude, time is money. Time is money. It's what everybody knows and nobody does. Time is money. If time is money, I can buy time. Okay? I've done 4 cities in one day in that plane. 4 different cities.
Give an example of your day going out to 4 cities. What type of deal you were doing that day and the timings?
I did Miami, Daphne, Alabama, little tiny runway, Daphne, Alabama. Got in the plane, went to Atlanta, met with Fran Tarkenton, looked at a piece of real estate in Daphne. On my way home, diverted to Atlanta to meet with Fran Tarkenton to do the Fran Tarkenton's the Hall of Fame Minnesota Vikings quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback, yeah.
I'm in the air. I'm like, hey, Fran, I could fly in right now. Look, when you have a plane and tell somebody you can fly in right now, dude, they'll see you.
Yeah.
Okay. Diverted from Atlanta to New York City, did a meeting in New York, flew back to Miami all in the same day. It's impossible to do that. That would take 4 days to do on a commercial airlines. So and was with my kids. My kids were with me while we did the trip.
That's good.
And my wife.
Yeah. Have you ever used your plane to go and pick a client up and bring them to you?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes, we have. We've done all that. Okay.
And how do you think that has influenced the deal that you were doing with them? The fact that you sent your plane out to pick them up?
Dude, I had a billionaire on a plane with me. I had a guy just sold his company for $21 billion. We were both in New York. He was leaving that night. He was flying back commercial, believe it or not. Oh. I said, dude, don't bother, bro. Just sleep in. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I'll drop you off. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be awesome. And then the guy, he's right-handed, and I put him in the right chair. He loves to write. He reads a lot and he circles stuff, and he put ink on the what's it called? On the panel, man, on the panel.
Yeah.
And I can't get the ink off. But he's worth $4 billion, so I don't think I'm gonna send him a bill. I'm just gonna eat it. But look, if I was flying commercial that day, what am I going to tell him? Hey, man, why don't you fly back with me tomorrow on Delta? We can sit next to each other and hold hands.
Yeah.
It's not much of an offer. Like when you fly private, you're going through these private airports. You're not meeting the vice presidents of companies anymore. You're meeting the people that own the companies.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I sell books, okay? I write books and we sell books. So every time we go to a private, to an FBO, we're dropping off books. We give books to pilots. We introduce ourselves to people. I mean, it's a great way to make great connections if you want to get out there and get the world to know you. Not to mention, when I own a jet, okay, I can put that's Grant Cardone that's 365 GC. Yeah. That basically says I'm being me, GC. GC is my initials, and 10X is one of my books. You couldn't do this. NetJets wouldn't let you put your logo on the tail of the plane.
Yeah, it's a great branding exercise as well, yes.
Tremendous branding.
So do you think you'll be using your plane more in the next six months to a year compared to last year? I mean, you did a very good first year, 250 hours.
Yeah, but even the 250-hour thing, people are like, if you don't fly 250 hours, it doesn't make sense. I think you can make sense of it at 150 hours.
Yeah, I think even 100.
Even 100 hours.
I mean, I'm telling people now, go out. If you want an airplane that's got like 3,200 miles, you can go out and buy a Falcon 50. Refurbish it, put new interior, new engines, new avionics, all for less than $5 million.
Yeah.
And it'll cost you maybe $800,000 a year to operate, to do about 120 hours a year.
Yeah.
But you've got your own airplane. It's available 24/7. It'll take you around the world, basically, even across the Atlantic. And it's a great business tool.
Yeah. It's a business tool, period. Okay. You own a printer, you own a desk, you own an office. Now, you probably lease that equipment. So you could lease it if you want to, but this is something when I get on, I want to know who's been on it. Look, you're in the air, man.
Yeah.
Okay? You're at 38,000 feet, 40,000 feet. You want to know I am in something, it's mine. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people have the idea that they would charter, and I guess if you're flying 50 or 60 hours a year, it doesn't make sense. At some point, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless you got more money than you got time, which I want to expand time. So to me, time is more valuable than money, and that's why I bought the jet.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, Grant, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, let me just say this. This has been the single best investment I have ever made in my life, in my entire life.